Hey, what's going on? What I'd like to do now is I'd like to write a simple Pygame program, probably a sphere, a circle that increases and decreases in size or something like that. And I'd like to use that to show how to use Pygame without any of the artifice that I've provided for you. So I've provided you with a boilerplate for starting your code, and that's mostly what I'm going to talk about. And I provided you with a game class that gives you a lot of interesting things to help you program. Buttons and things like that. Most importantly, it has a whole bunch of colors that I've already defined with names, and Pygame doesn't give you a bunch of those. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to actually program without any of that and see what I can get done in 15 minutes. I think I can get done something that will be reasonably interesting. So I'll just go ahead and do that and see what we see. All right. Here to start, obviously, I double-click on the Python icon, and I click on this guy for SciTE, and I've got this guy up here. Now, I could just start programming here. The first time I ran something, I'd have to save it with the .py, or I can start with this intro.py. I'm going to start with the intro.py because when you save something, sometimes in the SciTE, the first time you do it, when you write it out, it has the indentation kind of strange. I think the indentation will be better here. So sometimes SciTE will give you 8 space indentations instead of 4 space indentations if it doesn't know immediately that you're working with Python. So let's just start here. So what I want to do is I want to import Pygame, right? And that's the way you get Pygame running. And the second thing you need to do to get Pygame running is you need to initialize it right there. That's going to initialize your display and stuff like that. And yeah, tools go, and that'll make it run. And this thing doesn't do anything. So I mean, I could say print done down here, and then it'll print something at the end when it's done. Okay, so that seems to be fairly simple, right? Now I don't need this print statement anymore. But that doesn't give me what I want. The thing I really want is a screen, right? So I need to figure out what size I want it. What I've been doing a lot is using these 800 by 600 windows. And you see I've made this screen size be equal to a what's called a tuple of 2 numbers. It's a list of 2 numbers. Or maybe it's called a tuple. It's multiple. So we've got 2 different elements, 0 and 1. The first one is the screen width. The second one is the screen height. Then what I have to do is I have to initialize the screen, which has 2 E's and 1 N. And I need to say that's Pygame display set mode screen size. All right. Simple enough right now. F5 runs it, and it shows up and then disappears. Why does it disappear? It gets to the end of the program, and it's over. It doesn't need to do anything more. So to prevent that, what we do is we have this infinite loop while true. So as long as whatever comes after the while is true, and then it keeps on going, well, I've already told it the value is true. So it's going to go on forever, and I'll just write pass there right now. And that'll just keep on going forever and ever and ever, and I can't close the window. We don't like not being able to close the window with the little x. So I'm going to fix that right now. That requires a couple of steps. Okay, so the first step is we need to tell it how to close the window, right? Or how to activate that little button here, right? And let's see. So we need to close the window, and so we need to get what? Exit from the sys package. All right. So that'll be fine there. And then we need to figure out that this guy has been clicked. This little red button's been clicked. To do that, what we need to do is we need to use a for loop, and we have to cycle through all of the things that happen in the Pygame window. So I think it's Pygame event. Is it .get or _get? Let's go with .get. Okay, so I'm going to assume that this is a property of the Pygame.event thing. All right, so if not, we'll end up with an error, and I'll do something else. So if the event type is equal to quit, which is what this button is, actually we're going to have that be equal to Pygame.quit, then indents again, we just want to exit. Now hopefully that will need 2 equal signs. Common error. I do it all the time. Hopefully that'll close that, and that makes like things a little nicer. Instead of having to go through, say, this tools and stop executing, I can just click that little red button. I like clicking little red buttons. All right, so we've got this going. Everything seems to be okay, right? Everything seems to be all right. What else would we like to do? Well, I just said I wanted to draw a circle. So do I think I should do that right away? Nah, yeah, let's go ahead and do that right away. Pygame, draw circle. This is how you draw a circle in Pygame. And it needs to have a screen, it needs to have a color. And the color is 3 numbers, and I'll talk about those in a little while. And then what do I need? I need a X position, a Y position, and a radius. Now, Pygame doesn't know what those X positions, Y positions, and radii are, but I'll define them out here. I'm not going to change X and Y. Well, I can change X and Y and R, but I'll define them initially outside of the loop. X is going to be half of the width. I want it to be centered, so screen size /0. That means integer division. So it will get rid of any decimal places. Screen size 1. Same thing for X, same thing for Y, and the radius. Let's start out now with 100. Okay. And now if I run that, I'll get a circle. I will not get a circle. Why didn't I get a circle? Because I didn't update the display. So Pygame display update. Okay, now I get a circle. All right. So even though I've drawn the circle, if I don't tell Pygame that I want to update the display, it doesn't know what's going on. I'm just drawing this on the screen, but the screen is sort of, think about it as a Python object that's sitting there, waiting to be put on the display in the window. But it doesn't get put there until you tell it, I'm done drawing on it, right? So this is saying I'm done drawing on the screen. Show it to me. All right. This so far it's not very interesting. So let's just make the circle get bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, there you go. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger till it filled the screen. Pretty simple. So let's make it get smaller. All right. Let's go. -1, and nothing happens, and then it breaks. Well, why does it break? That's always a interesting thing. Oh, negative radius. Obviously, you can't have a negative radius. So if r is less than 0, r equals 0. Okay. So whenever the radius is less than 1, whenever you have a negative radius, it stops. But it's not going at all, right? So what's the issue? Well, the issue is that you're not erasing. All right. You need to erase before. I'm not erasing, right? So before I can see something that's smaller put on top of it, then I need to reduce the size. Or I could do something else, like draw on top of the circle with a different color, which isn't a completely bad idea. So let's see what happens if I put these -r's in there. So, it did it really fast, but you see I get a nice little white spot in the center and gray on the edges. That looks pretty cool, actually. But that's not really what I want to do. I want to reduce the size of the reduce the size of the circle. and actually see it reducing. All right, so how could I do that? How could I do that? I guess a reasonable way to do that would be to put a background on and draw that on the screen before I draw anything else. And in fact, that's what I'm going to do. That's what normally we do. So I have to create a background. All right. And what should I call my background? Background. And background is going to be a surface that I draw on. All right. And it's going. I want it to have the same size as the screen. Okay, so I'll just plaster something over the screen, basically erasing it every time I want to draw. I'll draw something, display it, erase it. Draw something, display it, erase it. Okay, that should be pretty sufficient. But I got to do a couple other things. I need to convert it. And there are some reasons I have to do that, but I don't really want to get into them. And then I have to fill it with another color. And I'll use 000, which you will see is what? Well, you don't know yet because I haven't put it on there yet. It's going to be black, all right? And then here, before I draw the circle, it has to be before I draw the circle, I want to screen. So on the screen, I want to do something called blit, which is going to be just pixel for pixel, dump something on something else. And the thing I want to dump on the screen is my background. I just want to erase everything and put the background there and then draw things on top of the background, one by one. And this gives me a position of the upper left-hand corner of the background, which I want to be the upper left-hand corner of the screen, which I guess is over here for you. All right. So now let's see what happens. You saw it disappear pretty quickly. Let's start with a larger one. And you see it, you have a circle and it disappears. That's pretty much what we've got. Now I can change these colors here. So if I have 255 here in the first one, the numbers go from 0 to 255 in these three numbers. So I'm going to max out that first one. That's going to be red, and the circle's on top of a red background. If I do it in the middle, that's going to be green, and that should be very green. So in fact, usually when people think of green, they think of 128 instead. The reason for that is your eyes are really sensitive to green. And 0, 255. The last one is blue, red, green, blue. All right, simple enough. There we go. What do I have? That's almost 14 minutes. I'm not going to write anything on the screen for you. That should be nice and sufficient. To be honest, I liked the sphere-y looking thing better, so let's see what that looks like at 250. Oh, that looks quite nice. So there we go. I think that's a good sort of thing to go ahead and end with, that very pretty sphere-y looking thing. And I will go ahead and talk to you later, all right? So thanks very much for listening.